Welcome and thank you for standing by. All participants are in listen-only mode. Today's webinar is being recorded and the recording will be posted publicly. If you have any objections, you may disconnect at this time. Now I would like to turn the call over to your host, Deb Revere. Deb, the floor is yours.
Thank you so much. Just confirming that you can hear me okay?
Yes, you sound clear. Thank you.
Perfect. Thank you so much. Well, welcome and thank you to everyone for joining us today. We are so happy to have you with us for this update to data.census.gov webinar, where our presenter will give us a walkthrough of all of the latest changes that were made to the data search platform, data.census.gov, throughout the month of April, May, and June. My name is Deb Rivera, and today I am joined by my colleagues, and we will be here to provide support for our speaker. So that means that we will be monitoring the chat to send you helpful links, and also using the Q&A panel to answer as many questions as we can throughout the hour. But let's go over a few items before I hand things off to our presenter. So as always, we are recording the webinar today, and all of the materials for this training will be available through the Census Academy website. We will be sending out that link in the chat as well. We will have a question and answer session at the end of the training today. Participants who would like to ask a question are welcome to use the raise hand icon, and that appears next to your name in WebEx. And what that does is it prompts us to open up your line, and at that point you'll then be able to unmute yourself to ask your question. We are also encouraging participants to use the Q&A panel to submit questions and the chat panel to submit any feedback and comments that you have. Just be mindful of where you submit your questions. If you submit them through the chat panel, it's very easy to miss them, so just be mindful of where you send those. Make sure that it's through the Q&A panel. Please note that the Q&A session will focus mainly on the platform, data.census.gov, and so we will not be able to go in depth to address questions on 2020 census products or data. So again, I'd like to thank you all so much for joining us today, and now I'd like to hand things off to our presenter, Tyson Weister. Thank you, Tyson.
Great, thanks, Deb. Thank you all so much for joining our webinar this afternoon on data.census.gov, news and updates. My name is Tyson Weister, and I work alongside Deb on the communications team for data.census.gov. What we have planned today are to showcase the latest updates that are currently accessible on the site. These were updates that were made from April through the June 9th release. I'm going to walk through those briefly on screen, and then we're going to do a live demonstration of some of the key updates that were made during that time frame. And then before we wrap up, we also wanted to showcase upcoming release that is happening planned for Thursday, June 30th. So we'll cover what's currently been released on the site and then what's coming soon. I'm going to show you that on the live Canary site and open up for questions. Before we dive in, just want to do a special shout out to all of our users that have provided feedback to help us make the site work better. This is what all of the updates are based on. We continuously collect and prioritize the feedback we receive, develop solutions, test those in an internal environment, and release them to the public. So the updates that we're discussing today are based on feedback from data users like yourself. Just giving a high-level update of what was covered. Geography profiles were released for more types of geographies. We added the ability to search within filter panels. We provided several mapping improvements, geography list enhancement, improved banner placement, search improvements, and search engine optimization improvements, as well as some technical updates. So just kind of giving you a high-level overview of what those updates were. We're going to walk through these one by one very briefly on screen so you can see in detail what I'm talking about. And then the first three items in this bullet list, I'm going to show you on the live site. Again, these are the updates that are currently available on data.census.gov from the April release through the June 9th release. So starting with geography profiles for more types of geography, we are excited to announce that you can access these profiles for geographies including congressional districts, school districts, American Indian Area, Alaska Native areas, and Hawaiian homelands. So these profiles are one of the premier products that we have on data.census.gov because they give you a high-level look of the most popular data across the Census Bureau all in one view, and they provide a visual format for you. So in the past, these profiles have been available for your city, town, state, county, and the nation level geography. We added all of these additional levels of geography to make these profiles compatible for you. The steps to access them are the exact same as you would access them for the other available geographies. We're going to walk through this on the live site and discuss it in more detail. Another very exciting part of the release is the ability to search within filter panels. So this is based off of feedback from data users about a popular feature that existed on our site in the past. We have added this once again to our site with several improvements. So one of the improvements that you'll notice is that the search bars that you see are more specific and give you a clear indication for what you would type in each one of these search bars. We're going to walk through this step by step on the site so you can see what I mean. Essentially, these search panels allow you to search the content of the filter list as an alternative to scrolling through the long list. So you just search the content of one list at a time, and we applied this to all panels, so geography, topics, surveys, codes, and years. Those new search bars allow you, again, to search the content of an individual list. In addition to that, we released this global search geography bar. So it's available on the main geography filter panel page. All of the other filter panels allow you to search one list. This search geography bar will cut across different levels of geography and attempt to find any filter that matches the search text that you enter. We'll clarify this once we go to the live site. Just want to point that out as another helpful shortcut for you to find your geography. In terms of our mapping, we made several improvements. One is manual breaks. So currently on the site, you've been able to specify your classification legend according to natural breaks, quantile, or equal interval. You can now manually update the values that you see in your legend. Here we're showing 4 values, and it's showing state population of under 1 million, 1 to 5 million, 5 to 10 million, and states with population of 10 million or more. We are going to work through this on the live site in our last example. And notice that there's a couple ways that you can go about updating these breaks in your legend. When you click the classes button at the top of the map, that has existed before. What you'll notice when you scroll down is that there are text boxes, and you can edit any of the middle ranges in your text box. The minimum and maximum values are populated automatically, but everything else is fully adjustable and customizable to your needs. Not only do you have the text boxes, you can also use this interactive histogram. So what we can see here on the right-hand side, this is a brand new visual representation. When you click the classes button, it's at the very top. It is showing the range and frequency of data values for the geographies on our map. It also shows the mean, standard deviation, skew, and kurtosis, and you can drag the items in order to adjust your legend as well. So we'll see more clearly, but notice that the cursor icon here in the histogram can be dragged left or right, and that will adjust the value on your map as if you had edited the text box. Another quality of life improvement for our maps is the clear label for the boundaries button. So we now call it boundaries. It was previously called styles, and we made this update to more clearly indicate to a user what the button actually does without, before you even click on it, you'll know exactly what you would be doing. You click the boundaries button and it allows you to turn on additional boundaries on your map for reference purposes. So here we're looking at a map. As a reminder, the layer continues to be the primary geography for your map. In this screenshot, I'm showing census tracts as my primary layer, and I turned on boundaries and chose to select the boundary and the label for unified school districts. So I'm showing the census tracts overlaid with the school district boundaries. That was able to help me select the census tracts that fall fully or partially within the school district. Another update with the release is a new side panel on the right-hand side of your map. Anytime you click the Boundaries, Classes, Table, or Notes button, rather than having a pop-up occur over the top of your map in the middle of your screen, you'll now see the functionality to interact with this will open up on the right-hand side of your screen. It just helps you use the functionality more easily without having to zoom in or out, and also helps you continue to view your map while you use this functionality to help you make the most of your experience. Moving on to some of our other updates, one is the geography list enhancement. At the top of the geography filter panel, you will continue to see the 9 most commonly used geographies. We've also duplicated these in the list of all geographies below. So most of the time when you want any of these geographies, you will be drawn to those boxes at the top, but just in case, if you have scrolled to the list of all geographies below, they are included in the alphabetized list. We've also consolidated banners, so they always appear at the top of your screen across every page on the site. Just gives you a consistent experience as you're working through the site, and make sure that none of the other content that you're working with is interrupted by these banners. Everything else remains the same, and you can still continue to click the X in the banner on the right-hand side if you would like to remove it from view altogether. One of the search improvements we made relates to popular search phrases like state, county, or city. When you type these in the single search bar, you will get the most populous areas at the top of the list of the type ahead search suggestions. So here you can see I've typed in city, and it provides the top cities by population size, just an improvement to help you get to areas that you would find most popular on our site. We also did technical updates for search engine optimization improvements. So what this means is that on the back end, we applied labels to fields like the title, author, and description of the web page. The primary purpose of this is to help other search engines, for instance, Google, be able to read our content more easily and link to specific areas of the website in a more meaningful way. Another way that you as a user will see this on the site is that your tabs are labeled. So in this case, I navigated to the site and clicked into table S1701 poverty status in the past 12 months. And notice at the top, the tab is labeled accordingly. In this case, it's showing the table ID S1701 poverty status. And that label is always going to be populated based off of the particular table map or profile you're clicked into, or the search that you've run, depending on how far along you've gotten in the process. It's super helpful if you have more than one tab open. They're not all labeled Explore Census Data anymore. They will be meaningful to what you've navigated to thus far in that tab. With these releases through the June 9th, we also applied some technical updates, one of which is to improve our ability to provide featured statistics to you more quickly. Essentially, we cleaned up our code so that it runs the code faster and is the most efficient way to pull the data in real time as possible and feed that over onto your screen. We also implemented updates to enhance our automated testing of data.census.gov. And another update is to provide profile views for an individual table. So this isn't something that you'll want to see and interact with on the site today. It is something we're working towards in future releases, that we can give you more dynamic and flexible views of table and also provide those views to you in a visual format instead of just static tables. So more to come on what that's going to look like for you as a user in future releases, but do know that we are working on improving the way that we display individual tables. And as always, we fix defects with each release. Through these releases over the past few months, we've pushed out fixes for 52 defects. I've put some highlights here on screen. Not going to walk through them, but did want to highlight a few of those out for you. And note at the link at the bottom is where you can get the full details for all of the information for the release. That includes all of the previous slides I covered, as well as more information about DSECS in general, and a great way to stay up to date on this information as it's happening in real time. So with that, I want to go ahead and transition over to the live demonstration. I want to walk through 3 examples of some of the features we've talked about so far. The first is going to be the geography profiles that have been released for more types of geographies. So I'm going to show you first for a congressional district and then for an American Indian area. Navigating to the live site, I'm going to go to data.census.gov. There are more than one way that you can get to these profiles. For the first one, I'm going to type in the single search bar, Congressional District 3, Iowa, and press enter. The important thing is to make sure that you've only searched for one geography and that we've recognized your search for a single geography. Here you can see the text we typed in is at the very top of the web page, and the way that we've recognized this is indicated to you in the filter in the upper left. It shows one filter and it's a match for what I intended. So I'm good to go there. Anytime you have a single geography and that level of geography is covered by a profile, you'll see on the right-hand side of your screen a map and the words Congressional District 3, Iowa profile, and a link to view profile. So from here, the process is the same as if you had been accessing this for instance, your state, county, or city. Once you click on the right-hand side of your screen, it will take you to the profile. And it's going to give you a collection of information across the Census Bureau, some of the most popular statistics. It's going to be a visual format. You'll get maps, bar charts, and it's pulling it all in real time. So here's some of those highlighted data at the top. And I'll scroll through at the left. This should look familiar if you visited our profiles before. It's just simply providing it for a different type of geography. Here we're looking at the congressional district compared to the state, and more detailed information for the congressional district on the right-hand side. Moving on, I'm going to click the U.S. Census logo in the upper left and want to show you another way you can go about navigating to these profiles, particularly with the levels of geography that were released, congressional district, school district, American Indian area, Alaska Native area, Hawaiian homelands. Sometimes those are difficult to find through the single search bar. So you may type something in that you think would be a match, and we interpret it slightly differently. Single search works great at the city, town, county, and state level. Some of the more complex geographies you can select most precisely using the filters, also called the advanced search. So I just want to highlight that you can visit advanced search. You can go through the process to select a single geography and access the profile the same way. So in this case, I want to highlight the American Indian area profile. I'm going to use the Navajo Nation as an example. So my first step is to choose the geography filter for Navajo Nation. So I'll click geography here on the left, then choose the level of geography that I'm interested in. Here I want American Indian area, Alaska Native area, Hawaiian homeland. And I want this nice clean label that doesn't have anything in parentheses. And from here, you're seeing one of the other new features. I'm going to go ahead and use it in this example. There is a new box at the top of this panel that says Search American Indian Area, Alaska Native Area, Hawaiian Homeland. So I could certainly scroll through this list until I get to the end and check the box for Navajo, or I can use this handy search functionality, type Navajo into the search bar, and then you do need to mark the checkbox in order to make the selection. So once you click the checkbox, it'll appear on the left-hand side of your screen. Once we're happy with our geography selection, I'll go ahead and click Search in the lower right. And that will take us to the All Results page. So this was the page that we reviewed just a minute ago at the congressional district level. We, again, have a single geography here. We've selected it a different way through the filter. And because it's a single geography and it's available for a geography profile, you see a map on the right-hand side of your screen with the same language to view the profile. So I'll go ahead and click that. And here we are. We can look at data for the Navajo Nation Reservation, some of the most popular data here at the top of our screen. And on the left-hand side, we can go ahead and go to different areas of the profile quickly to get a high-level taste of information available for this area. Now, I'd like to spend a little bit more time diving into the Search Within Filter panel functionality, just to make sure we're really clear about how it functions. And for this example, want to showcase Salvadoran population in Harris County, Texas. So clicking the U.S. Census logo in the upper left, we are going to use the Search Within Filter panel functionality. So I'm going to click the Advanced Search to get to the filters. And first, I'm going to select Harris County, Texas. I'll click Geography on the left. And then I'll choose the county level. And here's just where I want to be clear. It's searching only the content of this list. So it's prompted me to choose a state, and it says clearly, search state. So I'll type in Texas. You do have to have at least 3 characters in order to start seeing results. And you do have to have an exact text match. So be very mindful of your spelling. Make sure that you've spelled it correctly. And then you'll go ahead and click into the folder for Texas. So a folder, again, indicates to us there's more options to choose from. And here, those options would be the list of counties in Texas. So again, I could scroll to Harris, or I can click into the Search Within Filter panel functionality that says Search County. I'll type in Harris, and it will give me a list of any items in the filter panel that contain the text. In this case, there's Harris County, Texas, and Harrison County, Texas. Since I want Harris County, I'll choose the checkbox for Harris County, Texas, and there I've selected my filter. Now, I mentioned earlier about the global geography search bar. Here I'm going to click Geography on the left, and I just want to point out really quickly how this works. So the global geography search bar is the main search bar that says Search Geography. As soon as you get to the geography filter panel, before you make any other selection, you can click into that and type in Harris as an example. This is going to not just look at county because we haven't specified that. It's going to look for any type of geography filter it can find that has Harris in the text. So you'll see county information, CCDs, districts, townships, cities, anything with Harris it could possibly pull into this list for you to scroll through and check. So you're welcome to use either of those options to get to the geographies you want and need. The global search geography bar is a helpful shortcut, and the Search Within Filter panel functionality that we use is very precise and helpful as you're going along without having to scroll through long lists. In this case, I've already selected Harris. You can see the checkbox selection I previously made is carried over, so nothing to do here. Just want to point out that functionality. And the last thing I wanted to show is selecting the Salvadoran population. So that's going to be a topic on the left-hand side of the screen. See Race and Ethnicity folder. So I'm going to click the Race and Ethnicity. And just want to be mindful, again, you can only search the content of this panel. So it says search race and ethnicity. I could scroll and click Hispanic or Latino, or hypothetically, if I found it beneficial, I could type Hispanic and it would narrow the list that I just saw to only the options that contain the text Hispanic. And I click the folder Hispanic or Latino. And from here, detailed Hispanic or Latino seems the most relevant to my search for Salvadoran. And then I get a list of detailed population groups. So likely Salvadoran is somewhere in this list. It's not alphabetized, so maybe I have trouble finding it right away. You can click into the Search Within Filter panel and type in a detailed group. Salvadoran, make sure that your text spelling is correct and mark the checkbox. Here I'll click 412 Salvadoran. And then from here, everything else from the site behaves the same way. The filters are selected. If you click search in the lower right and tables at the top, you get the same set of results that you would have gotten previous to these search bars being implemented. It's all based on the filters that you selected. So I'm not going to really drill into the data. I just wanted to show you how to select the filters with the new search within filter panel functionality. Great. Last part of the demonstration for this portion before we go on to the June 30th release, I want to show the mapping improvements. And for this example, I'm going to create that same map that I showed a screenshot of where we had total population and we adjusted the breaks manually in the legend. So going to the site, I'll click the US Census logo in the upper left, and I'm going to type in population all states and press enter. All of our maps continue to be table-based, so I always like to take a quick look at the table before I create a map. So here I'm going to click table. What you want to do is make sure that you've selected the geographies you want. I can see my geographies here as I scroll across. And the first table result says P1 race. The universe is total population, and the first row is total. So in this case, total population is provided in the first table result, and it's the first row of the data table. Now that I've confirmed that I'm clicked into a table that has what I'm interested in, I'm going to go ahead and click over to Maps. So nothing changed with the process thus far, just kind of going through the typical steps. What you want to do on the map is continue to make sure you're clicked into the table that contains the data you want to map out. Here we see the orange bar and highlighting for P1 race, and then make sure that your map is set to the state level. Here we can see that that's done. This happened for us automatically. And another thing you'll want to do is select or confirm your data variable. You can go ahead and click the variables button at the top and choose from the drop-down menu. We wanted the very first row of the table. It's the very first label in this list for total, referring to total population. So I don't need to make any changes, just confirming that we're getting data for total population. And now what I really wanted to show is the new functionality to adjust the legend. So by default, it is doing natural breaks. I can adjust the number of classes I see in the legend in the lower left, and I can adjust the values to what I want the map to show. So the way you do that is to click the Classes button. You'll notice there is a new tab on the right that says Manual. Here I'm going to click that tab for Manual. And then I'm going to scroll past the histogram and visit it again later. You'll see that all of the options in the middle are text boxes and that they are editable. So the minimum and maximum value are determined for me. I wanted to look at states with under 1 million population, so I'm going to adjust that first text box to say 999,999. And before I click out of it, just want to draw your attention to the left-hand side of the screen here. As soon as I click out of that text box, we're going to see this first class in our legend update. So it changed to 999,999, and then also the beginning value of our second class updated to the next logical value of 1 million. So you can go through this process to make as many changes as you want. Here I wanted to look at 1 million to under 5 million, so I'm going to change the second text box to 4,999,999. I'm going to click out of the text box. Notice that my legend updated, and you may be seeing that some colors are starting to change on the map as well as we're going through this in real time. The last value I wanted to add is the third text box, change it to 9,999,999. Click out of the text box, and here we almost have what I'm interested in, except I really don't want this additional data class. I just want to look at 10 million and above. What you can do on the right-hand side, rather than edit the value in a text box, if you want to delete a category altogether and change it from 5 classes in your legend to just 4, you can click the X on the right-hand side of that checkbox. And that has updated our map. So we have states of under 1 million, 1 to 5 million, 5 to 10 million, and 10 million or more in total population size. Scrolling back up, want to take a brief look here at the histogram. You can turn the toggle on to view the map colors. It just shows you the corresponding color in your map legend. What you can also do with this is drag the histogram. So I'm going to click the histogram for 10 million, click, hold, and drag it to the right. And notice in real time that the map is updating as I'm dragging this, as well as the legend. So I'm going to drop it around the 15 million mark. Let go. Notice that my legend in the left has been updated. The value doesn't say 10 million anymore. It reflects where I dropped that histogram bar. And the text box has been updated as well. So those are the two options available to you to create manual breaks. Want to point out here when you click on table as well, if we wanted to look at total population data in a table format without all of the other values, you can continue to use the table button, and just noticing here on the right-hand side of the screen, it does appear in a sidebar on the right. All right, so hopefully you found some of those updates exciting for the releases that we pushed out through June 9th. Wanted to take a moment to switch gears here and show you what's coming soon. So specifically on Thursday, June 30th, we are releasing a new modern design refresh. So some of the highlighted information from this release includes a new landing page, redesigned profile page, and improved indicators as you're working through the site, just to help you make sense of what's coming on screen, what you've selected, and what elements of the site you can interact with. This is available through our Canary site, and this is available to the public for you to take a preview now, a sneak peek at what's coming expected for Thursday, June 30th, and let us know your comments in advance. So I'm going to visit the site. You are welcome to follow along or visit this at a later time as well and see these updates on your own. Also wanted to mention, as I'm going through this, if you have any comments on things you like about this update or ways we can make it better, we would definitely appreciate if you can put that in the chat. We're going to give you some dedicated time at the end to do so. And if anything pops into your head as I'm going along, feel free to open up the chat and please let us know what you like the most about these updates or what maybe didn't hit the mark for you. Before I get in, I want to say one last note. The Canary site is meant for you to get a sneak peek of these previews. If you're trying to access official statistics, we still encourage you to use the site data.census.gov rather than data.canary.census.gov. And also the Canary site, being a development site, may not always have the best stability and performance that the production site has. So do expect to know that they could be actively working in the site in real time, and any performance issues would be potentially something you would expect in the Canary site. You are here to evaluate mainly the functionality of what we're proposing to push out soon rather than the performance in the site as a whole. So going to the site, what you'll notice on data.census.gov, we have a banner at the top that actually gives you the quick link. So you can grab the link from our PowerPoint slide, or you can grab it here from the banner that says visit our Canary site here, and the text for here is a clickable link. It will take you to data.canary.census.gov/FedSci. As soon as you get here, you will notice the new landing page. So helpful to see this in advance. It's a different look and feel, but the same core functionality in terms of how you go about getting data. I want to point that out to you very briefly here. The single search bar continues to be in the prime location at the top of the page, and you continue to have access to the advanced search filters. So those will remain the two primary ways that you'll get started with your search. We use both of them in the previous demonstration. You can use them the same here. You can also click into the single search bar and get that link to advanced search. We've included a link for help. This will take you to our resources page. case you'd like to learn more about data.census.gov, we have our full suite of educational materials here. And just also want to point out on the left-hand side of this page is another link to get to the Canary site in case you want to access it in the future. By the way, this site is not something that's just dedicated as a preview for the 6:30 release. This is the ongoing site that's been released where you'll be able to continuously check out a sneak peek of developments coming soon to the live site. Next, we have a link to feedback. Please send us any questions that you may have for data, questions on how to use the site, or ideas on how we can make data.census.gov work better for you. Once you click feedback, it will take you to our email, census.data@census.gov. Moving on to other design elements we continue to have in the upper right, links to tables, maps, pages, and microdata. Those are the 4 primary types of content that we have on our site. They continue to exist in the headers on the live site and have remained throughout this update. And one other thing you may have noticed as I've been talking is below the single search bar, you see some text that says, try searching for poverty in Georgia in 2020. And it provided some updates just to show you that you can type in a variety of topics, geographies, and years. This is example text just to inspire you to help you get started with your search in the single search bar. And one other piece that you may notice is a microphone in the single search bar. So I'm actually going to demonstrate this functionality very briefly. It's speech-to-text functionality, so as soon as you click the microphone, you can speak. And I'm going to run a search for income in Maryland. So I'll click it, income, Maryland. Just pause when you're done speaking. And I think I started speaking too soon. It only picked up Maryland. It's worked well every other time. So not going to run through it again. Just be mindful when you speak into it to pause for a moment before you start speaking. And it generally picks up very well your text. What it shows at the very top is what you've put into, or what it's recognized as the speech that you've verbally said, and on the left-hand side is the filter that we've recognized. So it's just another option for you. Instead of typing your text into the search bar, you can certainly speak it now as well. On this page, just want to point out there's some look and feel updates that have been applied as well. You'll notice different text, font, colors, and different placement of some items here. All of the results that you're getting are the same, just some look and feel improvements to help you get to where you want and need and call out the most important parts of the page and draw your attention to there more easily. This includes the featured result at the top that says total population in Maryland. And then I'm going to go ahead and click the tables tab at the top as well and show you some additional updates. One is the dot indicators that you're seeing. We've just put some work to more clearly indicate the number of filters you've selected, the number of results that you're seeing. Here we see 3,763 table results and 1 geography filter. So this is more consistent with other technology and ways of showing you numbers for things. I'm also going to click the reload button here just to show you an additional functionality that you may have noticed. But before I do that, it's called skeleton loading. So what we're going to see when I click the reload button is that as your results are populating on screen, you're going to see bars. And that's indicating to you that this information coming through is a list. Notice these bars that are showing here. In the past, you would have got a spinning icon. So the skeleton loading just gives you a clear indication of the type of content that the site is trying to populate on your screen, rather than providing you a spinning circle with no additional information. Going back to the landing page here, I'm going to click the U.S. Census Bureau logo on the upper left and scroll through some of the additional updates that you see on the page. Tables, maps, pages, and microdata. As you scroll through the landing page below the single search bar, you're going to see clickable links, images, and brief descriptions for each of those content types. So as an example, under Find Tables, you can click the table, you can click Explore Tables, or the word table, and notice that as I move my cursor, the tables actually shift slightly. So we've added several hover effects throughout the website with this release, just to indicate that when your cursor is over these items, you can interact with it in some way. So if I were to click tables, it would take me to the set of 5,103 table results on our site, and I can add filters to narrow that down further. Same concept as you scroll through. When you get to the map section, if you were to click maps, it would take you to all of the possible maps on our site. These behave the same way as if you had clicked tables or maps. Brief description, all of our maps are table-based, and this calls that out for you clearly. Scrolling down, also we have profile, one of the major portions of our site that we visited earlier. This gives you some information about the different types of profiles that are available for over 100,000 different types of geographies. And then this calls out the levels. I've named them off several times during this webinar. They're available at the state, county, place, tribal area, zip codes, congressional districts. As I hover over this, notice at the bottom part of my screen, you're going to see a profile begin to populate for an example geography. So for instance, when you go to the place geography, it will pull up the profile for Accokeek, CDP, Maryland. You can either click the word place or click the example profile at the bottom of your screen as an option to get started with that type of profile for that specific geography. So really just another option for you to explore the types of profiles that are available, very clearly see the different geographic levels. But if you wanted to update this to a profile for your specific geography, you can continue to specify that in the single search bar. We're going to get to that in just a moment. But before we get there, just wanted to scroll past the profile section to the final area, access microdata. And this is your option to create custom table in case you're not finding a pre-made table on our site that is meeting your needs. The microdata access tool allows you to create a custom table by selecting variables. And this is the quick link to get there. And once you get to the very bottom, we continue to provide our email address again at the bottom, census.data@census.gov, and a link to our FAQs. So scrolling back up, I want to go ahead and show you the updated profiles. We've covered most of the other core updates from this release. I'm going to go ahead and type a geography into the single search bar. And notice with this update, the type ahead search option on the right-hand side has the profile map and link accessible to you right in the type ahead search result without having to go to the all results page. You can certainly run this search and go to all results as we did in our first example when we looked at the profile for Congressional District 3 or the Navajo Nation, but we have made it easier with this upcoming release for you to access these profiles directly through the single search bar. So the left-hand side would be words and phrases you could click on that would take you to a standard search. The right-hand side with the map is always to a profile. So go ahead and click the profile link. You'll also notice that as this profile is loading, it's providing an updated look and feel. Gives us our state and a description of the area at the top with some nearby states in case we wanted to navigate to profiles for those geographies. They're available at a click of a button. A map of our area. And being this is a development site, we'll give it just a moment longer to load here. And go ahead and refresh it just to be safe. And while this is happening, I also just wanted to mention that all of the content that is being loaded in this profile is the exact same type of content that's loaded in the geography profiles that you see on the site on production today on data.census.gov. It's just organized into a different look and feel. And I'm going to go ahead, we'll give it some more time to load here. What you can see it's pulling at the top with the skeleton loaders is those highlighted statistics that should be coming through. They'll have an image, the statistic, and what's new here are new source statements that you'll be able to see. So for instance, P1 2020 Decennial Census, these source statements were not previously published on the site for these highlighted statistics. They're now available by default, and you can turn the toggle on and off. Typically, you'll want the source statements displayed, so we do provide them by default and include clickable links to the source tables. Once you scroll down further, notice that you'll start getting to different sections of the table, of the profile. Again, these are also being pulled in real time, and these are clickable links. So they're now accessible horizontally at the top rather than clickable links on the left-hand side of your screen. Here I'm clicking race and ethnicity to jump us to that section. And because it's taking a moment to load here on this development site, I am just going to go ahead and show you here in slide deck format, just so that we can get to your questions and feedback as well. What you can see here, and they're hidden slides, so I'm going to leave them in this view, but you should be able to see once you click to the section, it takes you and provides the data. And what I wanted to point out is on the right-hand side of the screen, you're always going to see a map, and it depends on what section you're clicked into, how you can interact with the map. So in the race and ethnicity section, we've programmed data for this section of the profile, and you can change the variable that's been mapped. So by default, it was providing the very first possible value for American Indian Alaska Native. You can change that to, for instance, Asian alone or any of the other major race groups. And then your map will be updated. When you go to view the data on your map, if you hover over any of the geographies, here I'm hovered over Montgomery County, Maryland, you can see in the screenshot, and there's orange around it. That means that I can interact with that part of the site. Another example of a hover effect. And when I click it, it provides the data, 163,507 Asian alone people in Montgomery County, Maryland. Moving up to a different section of the profile, here I clicked on education at the top. And on the left-hand side, just noticing here that we're getting data in a chart format as well. And this section of the profile, we haven't specifically programmed for the data on education to be mapped in the profile. So anytime that data for that section is not part of the map, you'll see a map on the right-hand side. Instead of showing all the counties in Maryland with shaded of different colors, it's showing you an outline of the state. You can still interact with the map in order to navigate to different profiles for nearby geographies. For instance, here I clicked Virginia, and there is an option to view the profile for that area. And finally, we also added for the options of any section with charts, there's a new Show Table button. And when you click Show Table on the right-hand side of your screen, you can access this information rather than a chart format in a table format. So just giving you more flexibility to consume the same data. And at this time, just want to go ahead and take a moment for you all to share any thoughts. Hopefully you've posted some things in the chat as we've gone, but if you could take the next 30 seconds or so, open up the chat and let us know your feedback, what you think of the modern design refresh that we just showed for the Canary site, anything you like about the site, or maybe something that's not hitting the mark. We'll pause briefly. Can please open up your chat and let us know your thoughts. We're looking forward to them. And as you're finishing up, any comments that you have about the updated design, want to let you know that you can stay tuned on this update and all of our updates by subscribing to our data.census.gov newsletter. Just visit the link on the left-hand side of the screen, choose data.census.gov update, and that will allow you to get our newsletter and other special announcements delivered right to your email box. All of the updates that we made are based on user feedback. Another way that you can continue to let us know how we can make the site work better is by emailing us at census.data@census.gov. And we also have a special survey going on, our annual data user needs and satisfaction. This is your once-in-a-year opportunity to tell us in a more structured way through prompts, rates, and specific questions how we can make the site work better for you across all aspects of the site. Whether you completed this in the past or would be completing it for the first time, we are eager to hear your comments and appreciate if you could fill out the feedback as well. We are expecting this survey to be open until we reach a few more hundred responses, so it could be closing in a couple of weeks. We appreciate your comments. And with that, I'll turn it over to Deb. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Tyson. Sorry about that. Just trying to find my unmute button. So as Tyson said, in just a few moments, we're going to begin our live Q&A session. And today we will be taking your questions over the WebEx audio. You can use the raise hand icon, which is located next to your name on the WebEx screen, and that will prompt us to open up your line, and then you'll be able to unmute yourself to ask a question. But first, as always, I'd like to invite you all to share your thoughts on today's webinar through an evaluation survey. Your feedback helps us design future training sessions and also lets us know how we can improve on our webinars. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to send out that evaluation link in the chat right now for anybody that may want to fill it out, along with some helpful information that will assist you when you are trying to fill that out. So before we go into the Q&A session, if you have any questions remaining after our session concludes, just please feel free to reach out to one of the 2 email inboxes that are listed here. If you are a member of the public, please reach out to the Center for Enterprise Dissemination at census.data@census.gov. And if you are a member of the media, you may contact the Public Information Office at pio@census.gov. So we're going to go ahead and open up the line for questions. Again, if you have a question and you'd like to ask it over the line, please feel free to use the raise hand icon now. And we'll just give that a minute and see if any questions come through.
And as we are waiting for those questions to come through, just want to also remind you that you can click the Help button on the landing page of data.census.gov to visit our resources page. Here we have recorded webinars, short videos, release notes, PDFs with step-by-step instructions, and answers to your FAQs. So really the full suite of educational materials in a variety of formats. And we also have another resource available to you through our data dissemination specialist. So the content that we've been advertising thus far is for data.census.gov. Our data dissemination specialists are equipped to help you with your training needs for any topic across the Census Bureau and not necessarily related to any one individual tool. They work with the full gamut of available tools. And if you'd like to request a special training, you can contact them using the information 1-844-ASK-DATA or census.askdata@census.gov.
Okay, thank you so much, Tyson. And it does not appear that we have any questions or anybody queued up for questions at this time.
All right, great. Well, thank you all so much again for tuning into the webinar. Again, we appreciate any feedback that you have for the Canary site and the upcoming release in particular, as well as the other feedback options we highlighted throughout the webinar. Thank you so much. I appreciate your time.
This concludes today's webinar. Thank you for your participation. You may disconnect at this time.